Well, I always say you got to have a plan B. You know, plan A is I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to save money, I'm going to invest in a well-diversified portfolio. I can't even say it. Bonds and mutual funds. That's all paper. It's paper. Plan B is you've got to get real. I buy gold. I buy silver because it's real. It's real money. I don't touch ETFs. I don't touch that stuff. I just buy real. So plan B is you better get real because anything they can print on paper is manipulated. I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad in 1997. It was published. It had to be self-published because every publisher said, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, your house is not an asset. I said, savers would be the biggest losers of all, and the rich don't work for money. Those are the three things that tipped all the so-called educated publishers off. At the same time, there was a book called The Millionaire Next Door. It came out in 1996. Today, that millionaire next door is the foreclosure next door. So all the guys who got rich in the easiest market in world history. I mean, if you were a baby boomer and you didn't become a millionaire between 71 and 2000, you were doing something wrong. Any idiot driving a Toyota with a 401k was going to get rich. But those days are finished. In 2000, all that ended. So since 2000, we've had three major crashes. Just look at this graph here of the Dow for 120 years. From 71 to 2000, it went up like a rocket ship. Then from 2000, with the dot-com crash, 2007, the subprime crash, and the 2008, the banking crash. Three major crashes in the first 10 years of this century. And yet people are staying with plan A, saving money and all this. And we've had the biggest money printing in world history. It is the biggest bubble. Just look at that chart again. You've had three major tops. If you look at the 1929 crash, you know, people say, oh, the giant crash of 1929. Look at that crash. It was a pimple. It was nothing. Look at the 87 crash. It was nothing. We've had three of the biggest crashes in world history. The Fed and those guys have popped up the market. There is no reality between share price and company value. It is purely elevated. On top of that, today we have HFT, high frequency trading. So while mom and pop are investing for the long term, as their financial planner tells me to do, these new guys are coming on the block here, and to them, long term is a millisecond. You know, a millionth of a second. These guys are in and out of the market. Mom and pop are going 40 years. What's wrong with that picture? Well, I wrote a book in 2002. I published it. It was called Rich Dad's Prophecy. And I said the biggest stock market crash was coming. You look at oil prices have plummeted, interest rates have plummeted. Mom and pop who are saving money are in serious trouble. Pension funds are in serious trouble because when interest rates are at 1% to -5%, and all government pension plans are based upon a 7% per annum increase, you don't have to do higher math. 7% and 1% are not the same things. That means the pension funds are in serious trouble. And one of my more horrible predictions is that the next bailout will be pensions. Get real. Don't touch anything made out of paper. I'm not saying get out of your 401k or IRA. You know, keep that. If you don't know what you're doing, it's best to keep it. The penalties for getting out are too high, not worth the price. But start a plan B, and plan B means it's time to get real. I love gold. I love silver. I have another friend, you know, he raises chickens. He sells eggs. He's making a fortune on eggs. You know, and people will eat. I'm a real estate guy. You know, people will always rent from me. I own apartment houses. And, you know, if somebody says, well, rental prices are going up, well, it's bad for the renter, but good for me. So as long as you get real, and what I mean by real, what is tangible? What can you see, touch, feel, and control? That's what I suggest. Like I said, The Millionaire Next Door is 96. Rich Dad, Poor Dad came out in 97, and we said exactly the opposite things, which was quite tough because I was going into the biggest bull market in history, just before the blow-off in 2000. So my wife and I would say we don't save money. We save gold and silver coins. It's our 30th wedding anniversary. My wife knew nothing about this. So I took her to his little coin shop in La Jolla, California, and she bought her first silver coin. I think it was $4. And she got hooked. I said, we save gold and silver. We don't save paper. And it has been one of the best decisions of our lives because, anyway, now she has millions of dollars in gold and silver. We don't sell. I don't look at gold and silver as an investment. I see gold and silver as a hedge, an insurance policy. It's like having car insurance against an incompetent U.S. government and U.S. Fed. You know, I mean, those guys are printing money like there's no tomorrow to pay the bills. Plan B is real. What can you see, touch, and feel? I don't trust ETFs, and I don't trust that stuff. It's like I don't buy REITs. I buy real estate. And the reason I buy gold and silver is because gold and silver have been real money for 1,000 years. There has never been one currency that has ever survived. Never. The U.S. has had two of them. It was the Continental to pay for the Continental, the Revolutionary War, and the Confederate dollar. They never survived. I think Social Security is really so-so. You know, and too many people have grown used to the government taking care of them. Now, it was a good idea for the World War II generation. They're the only guys who got the payout. Vietnam guys are not going to get the payout. What they're putting in, they're not going to get out. And the generations behind of them, you know, Generation X and millennials, they're getting screwed. So that's why the Social Security plan is a Ponzi scheme. It only works if there's somebody else putting money into it, so you can get out of the whole thing. So to me, Social Security, if you look at the chart here, it went broke around 2015. And it's going into the red. Worse than that is Medicare. Medicare and Social Security are estimated to be $100 trillion to $215 trillion off balance sheet. Now the average guy, what does off balance sheet mean? That'd be like saying, well, I'm not going to put my credit card debt on my financial statements. That's called lying. So the U.S. government is lying. If we did what the U.S. government did with Social Security and Medicare alone, unfunded liabilities, we'd go to jail. Once again, I'll say the baby boomers are the luckiest generation in history, but that ended in 2000. That's really what I want to say. These other two charts that come from my book, Second Chance, look at what happened when the markets crashed in 2008. We went to quantitative easing, the biggest money printing in history. We printed more money in the last 10 years than any other time in history. Here's another chart. These are not my charts, these are government charts. It shows the purchasing power of the dollar going down. We've lost 95% of our purchasing power. So when people say prices are going up, that is not true. What is happening, the purchasing power of the dollar is crashing down. And my prediction is they're going to keep printing because they have to keep printing to pay bills. We're bankrupt. As we all know, the richest guys who know what they're talking about, like Dalio and those guys, they're shifting into gold now. And I've always said this, when I talk to a financial planner, they're always trying to sell you something. I don't blame them. You have to sell something. But they call gold a barbaric relic of the past. So they'll sell you a gold ETF, but they won't sell you physical gold. And the reason for that is they don't get a commission on physical gold. So always consider who the salesperson is. As my rich dad always said, the reason they're called a broker, like a stockbroker, real estate broker, insurance broker, is because they're broker than you are. So be careful. Nothing wrong, we all sell something. But be careful on who is selling you the deal.